Hello everyone, I am Lego Dude LOL 9A, the guy who runs the Valkyria Chronicles Sprocket Creative Competition, or VCSCC. And I've noticed that there are a few people that are quite confused on how to do the radiators for this competition. So, for each era, I will be changing how to do the radiator. So, for now, I'm going to be making this video on how to make the radiator for the early war, which is the current round at the time of this recording. So, what you need to do is grab a freeform turret and slap it on somewhere. I'm going to put on the back here. You want to set basket space to nothing, uh, height to as low as possible, and diameter as small as possible, just to hide the turret ring. And you're going to need to make this hand cranked because, as you can see, otherwise it will take up internal space in the hull. And then you need to make sure that this is open. Now, before you shape this, you need to figure out which engine you want to use, as the engine you use determines how big you need to make this. So I'm going to pull up the document. Let's use the Ruth V4. So 4-cylinder 1.3 displacement. Alright, now let's go back here. So let's see. My document here says that the radiator minimum size requirement for the Ruth V4 is 0.2 square meters. Maybe I should have clarified that, but anyways, so that means that these numbers right here, when multiplied to each other, need to equal 0.2 or higher. So let's start messing with it. Oh, and also need to make sure that the armor thickness is 5 millimeters on all sides. Alright, I'll pull up a calculator and see if that is over the requirement or not. Alright, that is well over, so I'm actually going to make the radiator smaller because the radiator is basically a giant weak spot, so I suggest making it as small as possible. Okay. Okay, so this may be a decent size for the Meroving V6B, but I'm using the Rus V4, so I'm going to make it smaller. Oops. Now, this would be too small for the Flander V8, and that's because I do not round up. I just leave it as it is. Try making it a little smaller. Alright, that's as close as I'm going to get. Well, correction, that's close enough for me to be comfortable with its size. So now that that's done, now I get to shape this. So you're going to want to split a lot. Now this is the method I recommend you use for shaping the radiator, because like if you're not comfortable with using uh, these tools the same way I am, then obviously you're going to have your own way of doing it. Alright. So now I need to remember that I had this number here at 0.5. There we go. Now I suppose you could do this shaping thing before setting out to do the length here, but I didn't think of that while I was doing this. So you don't need to have your radiator as just a fancy cube. You can do whatever shape you want, as long as these numbers multiplied with each other equal the required size. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to do a little fancy-ish thing. And there we go. Now I'm going to hide that little base thing there, and there we go. So that little base thing You want it. You cannot have more than the height of the turret ring here. Uh, well, noticeably more than that height inside of the vehicle, because otherwise, then people could cheat and have like the majority of their radiator inside of the tank when it needs to be external like this. So now the final touch is, I think that's it, placing the radiator decal I provided. There you go. That's it. That is all there is to making the radiators. Uh, I hope this was clear enough. If you still have any questions, feel free to ask. And uh, like I said, the size requirements and maybe how to calculate how big you need the radiator to be will change for future rounds, because eventually I'll be going on to mid-war and then late war. And the newer the era, the smaller the radiator. So that should be everything. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And that's everything, so goodbye.